and welcome to the Vagabond Way podcast. The journey goes ever on with the long road. This episode, join us on the journey. Ahead of the Long Road's Lockdown Live Mostly event, join me, the Bish, Steve and Kev on our usual rambles about life, the universe and everything, featuring a look at the other two songs on the Long Road's new EP, Moonshine Elegy. Steve also looks back at another old favourite song. Kev takes us to the next place on his journal of his favourite coffee spots somewhere in the world. And I give you an update on my homemade cheese-making efforts. The Vagabond Way podcast featuring The Long Road is exploring the world of the troubadour, the adventurer, the vagabond. The world isn't beige, it isn't processed, it's authentic, it's rich and it's real. If those are the sorts of sentiments that make your brain light up, then hop on board. We are embracing all of those things, celebrating all of that, and we'd love it if you joined us on the journey. Greetings, I'm Chris the Bish Leiden. It's a pleasure to be with you once again. We've had another busy week here on the Vagabond Way, continuing to celebrate the launch of our EP last Friday, Moonshine Elegy, and gearing up for our Lockdown Live Mostly event tonight on Facebook, along with interviews and social media stuff for Moonshine Elegy, preparing for this podcast and just generally trying to get through the week. It's been pretty busy. So the headlines. Thank you so much to everyone who has visited the website, thevagabondway.net/Moonshine Elegy, to explore our new EP. There are videos on there, there's links to the full songs on Spotify, Apple Music, etc. Everything you need to dive right in. There's been a couple of radio interviews this week already. Have a look on the Facebook page to see the links if you can play them back if you missed them. And there's more radio stuff on the way, so keep your ears peeled. We're always surprised by something when we launch new music. Last time it was the sort of runaway popularity of Wrapped Up in You, which was almost kind of a sort of throwaway song compared to the epic American Wilderness on the previous EP. This time, whilst Moonshine Running, the sort of lead track, is proving popular, sort of easy to access, the other song that's really tickling people is Ballad of Duane and Billy Marie. They are two quite contrasting songs, but Ballad is perhaps the dark horse of the EP. This week on the podcast we'll be playing the other two tracks, Canyons in the Desert and Silver Moon, Silver Girl. So you'll have heard all four tracks over these two podcasts. Let us know what you think. Which is your favourite? Which ones are you surprised by? The next headline, if you can call that first bit a headline, it was more sort of head, body, extended family line. Tonight, Friday the 1st of May 2020, we're doing a very special thing. So despite lockdown across Europe, across the world, Steve, Kev and me, we've been working away the last couple of weeks to bring you Lockdown Live, mostly. Hopefully not just another Facebook live stream, but something a little bit special, featuring everything you'd want from a live gig. There's some chats, introductions to songs, some entertainment, hopefully, and of course the music, but all from the comfort of your own sofa and for free. There will be live music, there will be some as live but necessarily pre-recorded music, and we'll exhibit one of our music videos too. So in fact you're getting a bit more than you would from a gig in some ways. Some views of things you wouldn't normally see, a curated visual experience, if you like, rather than just sitting watching a band. I think we might think we've invented television. I'm not sure. Anyway, so the event is tonight, 7:30pm BST, British Summer Time, on our Facebook page, facebook.com/thevagabondway. It would be great to have some people watching. We think it's going to be really great. It'll only last about 50 minutes, 60 minutes tops, so it won't take up your whole evening, so do join us if you can. facebook.com/thevagabondway, 7:30pm BST. Last week also saw the launch of our new Patreon. Now, Patreon is a great platform that makes it really easy for audiences to support artists or creators by giving you direct access to those creative people, and you get exclusive Patreon-only rewards, and you can really help to shape what creators are doing, what they're making. So consider becoming a vagabonder. That is our name for our supporters on Patreon, and you can help us carry on creating some things which are different, which entertain, and hopefully some things that inspire. So join us on the journey and release the vagabond within. Patreon.com/thevagabondway. And a final thing before we get to the main content for today, our song from the end of last year, Wrapped Up in You, is up for a UK Country Music Award 2020, presented by ukcountryradio.com, and we need you to vote. So please go to ukcountrymusicawards.com/song to vote for Wrapped Up in You. It's in the list under Steve Bonham. Anyway, that's enough from me for now. I'm going to hand you over to Steve, who is going to introduce those 2 further tracks from our EP Moonshine Elegy. The first one is called Silver Moon, Silver Girl. Over to Steve.
Sometimes you write the song and then sometimes the song writes you. I think that's what happened here, I think. I bought a guitar on eBay one night, an Avenue 5 arch top. I'm not safe online after midnight in this respect. And then I discovered that the Avenue 5 arch top guitar, though a thing of beauty, was unfortunately way down south. In fact, way down south in the Portsmouth Bayou, far from where I live. So I got my lovely cousin Vanessa, who lives down there, to pick it up. And then 6 months later, avoiding the alligators and the swamp fly, drove down to pick it up. It's always exciting to have a new guitar. It is, you know you're going to write a whole set of new songs on it. It's just the way of them you're going to release the inner beast. So I tuned the guitar to C and then put a cap on it so the song was in D, which proves no musical shortcuts for me. And I wrote it in a few minutes. It's a surreal, trippy road trip of a song. A metaphysical drop everything and get out of here. A call to ignore the buggers who grind you down and get out and enjoy life.
Drank so deep from 7 wells, said come on girl, let's give them hell. They're waiting for the final bell, sold their souls as far as I can tell. Give me a taste of something fine. The world out there is catching fire. That old damn mule has lost a tie. The angel and the saints conspired. Leave me just a gun for hire. Give me a taste of something fine. Silver moon, silver girl, take me to Cimarron. Silver moon, silver girl, Route 66 or Santa Fe, Mount Silas, blow away, live to love another day. Ride on, baby, ride on. Couldn't if I wanted to tear it up and start anew, take another point of view, steal my heart right back from you. Just give me a taste of something fine. The bad girls and the vampires said the water boys who ain't spoke yet, the piano man who placed a bet he could not lose, he's so in debt. Just give me a taste of something fine. Silver moon, silver girl, take me to Cimarron. Silver moon, silver girl, Route 66 or Santa Fe, Mount Silas, blow away, live to love another day. Ride on, baby, ride on. Guitar. Tail when it played a drum. I took a drink, so I'm feeling numb. Won't spare a dime for another bum. I'm laying low and keeping it dumb. Just give me a taste of something fine. The lazy ridge at the edge of night, side by side in the fading light. Something crazy, something right. Shall I stop here? Well, I think I might. To give you a taste of something fine. to love another day. Ride on, baby, ride on. That West Coast song went round my head, found its way to a big white bed. Was it something that I said? Heart is hollow, it's easily led.
That song was Silver Moon, Silver Girl by The Long Road from our EP Moonshine Elegy. It's available on Apple Music if you'd like to purchase. Next up is Canyons in the Desert, and here is Steve to introduce.
It's never wise to ask someone what a song is about when they've just written it. You'll most often be met with a look of panic, confusion. The answer isn't ever obvious. And it's sometimes months or even years later you think, oh, I know what that was about. Usually shrouding yourself in a cloak of embarrassment and regret. Canyons in the Desert. Well, it's a song of reassurance. It's a song for someone who feels the world is impossible and threatening and full of demands that can't be resolved. Stuff. Burdens we have picked up, and then find ourselves like the man carrying the mule through life rather than the mule carrying the man. But hey, why don't we sometimes lay things down now and then and focus on what is joyful and rich and magical? There are those who might say everything we pick up is a choice. And that may be, but I have not reached that level of consciousness yet. What I do know is that after you have met turtles and canyons and New Orleans, the burden seems surprisingly lighter.
When the wind is howling outside your door, friends you can count on, you're not quite so sure. Find you standing on the wrong side of the road. Girl, put down your heavy load. When you keep on singing but you're getting it wrong, you remember the words but have forgotten the song. When you can't make the choices from the things that they showed, girl, put down your heavy load. Dragons in the night, turtles in the sea, canyons in the desert looking good to me. Dancing on the boulevard way down in New Orleans, turn sideways to the sun and let the Joker steal the scene. When there's too much that's playing inside of your head, late night confusion going on in your bed. It's time to move out, a time to reload. Girl, put down your heavy load. Dragons in the night, turtles in the sea, canyons in the desert looking good to me. Dancing on the boulevard way down in New Orleans, turn sideways to the sun and let the Joker steal the scene. When the bad thought is flying like a shot in the night, whatever you're doing it right. Take the love to where the deep waters flow. Girl, put down your heavy load. Dragons in the night, turtles in the sea, canyons in this desert looking good to me. Dancing on the boulevard way down in New Orleans, turn sideways to the sun and let the Joker steal the scene.
back into the archives a little bit here for The Long Road Revealed. Steve ruminates on an old song, actually one of my favourites to play in years gone by. It just lilts along wonderfully, but has these moments of sort of frisson, of passion, that evaporate, leaving just the simple beauty behind it. It's just great. Steve talks a little bit about recent experiences before we play that song. And, well, just listen out for something. The disdain for the pigeons in Steve's garden is apparent, to say the least. Just listen to how he says the word pigeon. It's just fabulous. I mean, I've seen the pigeon he mentions. It's a huge beast, It's quite the feat of genetics and aerodynamics. I mean, having said that, I've never actually seen the thing fly, so perhaps Steve should actually be charging it rent in reality. Anyway, the song isn't about a pigeon, just in case you're reaching for that off switch right now. Stay. I should just let Steve say what he's going to say. And look, just forget I mentioned the pigeon. Okay, look, here's Steve.
The last few weeks, as we've been getting everything ready, finalising the launch of the EP, working out how to do these online broadcasts, building the Patreon page, so much else. One of the sort of guilty pleasures have been every day, as instructed by the government, I've taken a walk and through the country lanes around where I live, and I've revelled in it. It has been lovely, blissfully lovely to be out quietly walking, and I realised the other day that I've seen spring arrive. Now, spring does arrive every year. I'm aware of that, and in fact, sometimes it arrives in December. But I've seen it arrive in a way I've not done for many years. I've watched the leaves open on the trees. I've seen animals get into life, and in my garden I've seen a dozy old hedgehog moving around at the wrong time of day, an acrobatic squirrel leaping from chair to tree to a rickety old fence. Those two elephant-like birds, which we call pigeons, waddling around in a kind of rather sweet relationship with each other. I've seen pink morning campion and forget-me-nots shine in the evening sunlight. And that kind of sense of the world re-emerging just reminds me of this feeling that I have that every place, every landscape has a spirit in it, a way of being in relationship to something deeper and older and more mysterious than we are. It's easy to miss that in the bluster and noise and madness of everyday life, and in the rush that we spend most of our time in, or at least I do. And yet, many times during my life, I feel suddenly open to that whisper at that moment. And I think many of my songs have reflected on it. And it is funny walking. Quite often, the memories that were around at the time when I was doing that, even way back to my childhood, come back so strongly, as if they were immediate and present now. One of those songs was Looking Back on England, which I wrote with my good friend Tim Gadsby many years ago, 15, 20 years ago. Tim was such a naturally good guitarist. Playing stuff that he'd written is always a challenge, and he came up one day with this guitar part and said, "Do you want to write some words to this?" And I must have been in the same piece of mental territory that I am now, because I wrote this song then about that spirit that lies behind all the bluster. I put a chorus in, and we recorded it, and then I recorded it again a few years later. I'm thinking of the song that I just wrote, This Is My England. I'm aware that this is definitely an ancestor or a relative of it. I hope you enjoy it.
Side of a hill,
Looking back on England, looking down the years to the way we were. Spirit of the age, cold hearth of furnace, time is standing still in the evening sun. Jenny, I said, nothing could go so wrong as to climb down this hill, head home again, side of a hill. Looking back on England, looking down the years to the way we were. Was it really there? Could you hear it breathing across the holy water? A glimpse of Avalon. Somewhere in the past, somewhere in the future, as the farmer turns the hours and the rocks into the sun. Jenny, I said, would you please hold my hand and stay by my side? The last glow has gone. Was it really there? Could you hear it breathing across the holy water? A glimpse of Avalon. When the storm rocked and battered, nothing else matters but stay here, lay here, dream by your side. Been cheated and flattered, hopes have been shattered, but I'll stay here, lay here, dream by your side. Stay here, lay here, dream by your side. Closes on the last man in, and the shadows start to grow on a nation written to state of Armageddon. Ruba Hollow men, I'll be staying here with you. Jenny, I said, although you might think it's strange, see the moon in your eyes is all I desire. Make a sauce turn, the long day closes on the last man in, and the shadows start to grow. I've been storm rocked and battered, nothing else matters but to stay here and lay here, dream by your side. Been cheated and flattered, hopes have been shattered, but I'll stay here, lay here, dream by your side. Stay here, lay here, dream by your side.
Hello everybody, and welcome once again to Kev's Cafe Corner here on the Vagabond Way podcast. This week, dear listener, we shall be returning to America, specifically the Deep South, and my visits, multiple visits, to an iconic chain called the Waffle House. Now, the Waffle House is spread out all over the States. There's about 2,000 plus outlets, but it's predominantly centred in the southern states because it was founded in Georgia back in 1955, I think, and it's just spread over the 60 odd years, and it's become something of a cultural icon down there in the South. And I got obsessed with this place because not only does it serve the most amazing coffee in these really chunky little mugs with. There's something, I'm very into design, and they've got like a little waist, these mugs. They're very chunky ceramic. And they have a very small handle which you can only fit like a finger through, but they're incredibly iconic Waffle House mugs, and they wouldn't let me take one away, sadly. But one of the things about these places is they have a jukebox in most of them, and a lot of the songs are menu-led, shall we say, and some of them have been written specifically for Waffle House items. Very interesting setup, and you can play these things. And of course I was inspired to write a song about the Waffle House experience, which appeared on my Blue Odyssey album, which incidentally will soon be available to buy on the Artisan Creative website, should you be interested. And I name check a young black waitress in the song by the name of Tanida right at the end, because one thing about the waitresses and the servers in Waffle House, they've all got tremendous personalities. They make you feel like you're the most important person of their day. And Tanida was one such person, offering the extra chocolate sprinkles and what have you. And she was at the Waffle House just across the Mississippi as you head into Memphis. So I remember that specifically and wanted to name check her in the song. And also there was a lady who served at the Little Rock Waffle House, who was probably, she believed anyway, she was one of their eldest employees. A lovely, lovely old lady who was such fun. And so every visit to the Waffle Houses that I went to over there, everywhere from Baton Rouge to Nashville to whatever, they were all such fun to visit, and the food is to die for. The breakfast grills they do, the amount of things you can have on the waffles, their toast, it was just heavenly. I will wash down with the finest coffee. So what else could I do but honour these people in this song? And I had some fantastic help on this track from my dear friend Ron Johnson, saxophone player from Ohio, and his mate Dr. John Showalter on trumpet. And these guys put some beautiful, beautiful sounds onto this track. This is called Buttermilk Boogie. Oh, God, what time is it?
It's breakfast time.
Every morning finds me flat on my back. Then I get to searching for the yellow and black. My stomach is a ground and Lord, it's making me ill. Out of my way, baby, got to get to the grill. If hunger is an illness, then a waffle's the cure. Syrup, butter, chocolate chips, give me some more. Buttermilk boogie, buttermilk boogie, buttermilk boogie, buttermilk boogie. Now don't be shy. Waffle House tonight. Take my favorite spot, I'm sitting right at the bar, looking at the syrup sitting there in the jar. Waffle House coffee is the best in the land. When I'm feeling tired, it really gives me a hand. Wave away the menu, cause I know what I need. Buttermilk waffle, baby, I got to feed. Buttermilk boogie, buttermilk boogie, buttermilk boogie, buttermilk boogie. Now don't be shy. Buttermilk boogie, you know what I like. Buttermilk boogie at the Waffle House tonight. See the batter bubble as it cooks on the grill. Half a minute later and I'm having my fill. Looking at the clock and it's 9:45. Bless my soul, think it's time to do it again. Buttermilk
not gonna be shy with them chocolate sprinkles, girl.
Well, I hope Tanita's still serving up those waffles down there in Memphis. Hope you enjoyed that, folks, and see you next week.
Another great track there from Blue Odyssey, Kev's solo album. That song was called Buttermilk Boogie, and I just love this stuff. Now, when Kev said this week was going to be about the Waffle House, I knew this would be a thing for me. I love me a waffle, and all the sorts of things that the name of that place inspires. I also love the idea of the jukebox being menu-led. I mean, I really hope there were some good puns on there. Great to have Kev's Cafe Corner back after missing a week last week due to our overstuffed episode last week, and looking forward to where we'll be next week. I'll be up front now. Bishop's Daily Bread this week is basically not about bread at all. Having run out of flour, it makes it a bit tricky to bake bread. I have been out first thing a couple of mornings to see if I can track any down, but no luck so far. I may have to resort to some sort of ridiculous 25-kilogram bag from the internet, although I think even for me, that would be excessive. Delicious, no doubt, but excessive. So anyway, this week I did manage to do experiment number 2 on the homemade mozzarella front. Now, I'm sorry to report this week was a disaster all round. I thought it was going well. The first stage, which didn't go well on experiment 1, the stage, I guess, of solidifying the curds, I suppose it would be, actually seemed to go quite well on experiment 2 this week. I was using a different sort of recipe, different set of instructions, I suppose, and started off with a greater quantity of milk. So things were going well, but it soon became apparent that things were not going to continue to go well. I'm not sure where things went wrong, really, but the curds just wouldn't come together to form a solid in the end. Well, as solid as you want mozzarella to be. Certainly I wanted it more solid than this. In the end, I ended up with a sort of almost a ricotta sort of cream cheese texture cheese. And it tasted fine, I guess. Not bad, but not amazing either. It did end up on a pizza. It sort of had to be spooned on rather than sliced and placed on. It tasted fine, you know. I need to read up some more as to what went wrong. Perhaps too much heat at the start, or not enough. Or too much rennet, or not enough. I need to read up on it. I was disheartened a little bit, but only because I enjoy eating the fruits, the cheeses of my labour. But I shall continue next week. Some fresh milk, some reading up online, and I'll get there, I'm sure. Onwards to cheese-based glory. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to join us on Facebook for Lockdown Live, mostly, tonight, Friday the 1st of May 2020, 7:30pm British Summer Time. Facebook.com/thevagabondway. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Acast, all over the place. The next episode will be out next week, Friday the 8th of May, 2020. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thevagabondway. You can find the music videos up there, loads of stuff. And don't forget, we're on Patreon at patreon.com/thevagabondway. Patreon is a great platform that makes it super easy for anyone out there, you, to support content that you love on a monthly basis. It gives you direct access to the people creating the stuff you love, us, hopefully, and you get to play an integral part in shaping the direction of the things that we make. So, become a Vagabonder, that's our name for our supporters on Patreon, to help us create music, live performances, books, short stories, this weekly podcast, and some new things we're cooking up. As a Vagabonder, you can get the recordings and books we make for free, receive exclusive Patreon-only merchandise in the post, get regular behind-the-scenes updates from us, unlock access to exclusive live-stream performances and Q&As, and lots more. You can help us create something different, something that entertains, and something that inspires others. So, join us on the journey and release the vagabond within. Patreon.com/thevagabondway. Thank you once again, brave adventurers, vagabonds and explorers, for joining us on The Vagabond Way. Remember, the world isn't beige, it's authentic, it's rich and it's real. Embrace every last bit of it. Until next time, the journey goes ever on with the long road. Bye for now.